Thoughts on the Vaivasvata Manvantara. The study of the Vaivasvata Manvantara can be pursued as to minor details from more than one standpoint, but I am at present concerned with only the broad outlines of its esoteric aspect. We are to understand in the first place that there are certain types of human races in this, as in other Manvantras. Each of these types has a history of its own. Each has its stages of growth, rise, and decline, and some have their periods of revival in this Manvantara as well. Each racial type has to be studied separately. The connection of the races with the sun and the moon requires a little consideration. Those who are acquainted with Hindu astrology know that the lifetime of a man is divided into certain divisions, each division being under the influence of one planet. Each planetary period again has its subdivisions, in each of which there is a secondary run of the planets. According to the Bengal school, the main planetary run takes 108 years for its completion, and according to another school, it takes 120 years. The following is the order of planetary succession according to the second school, which prevails all over India except in Bengal. Sun 6 years, Moon 10, Mars 7, Rahu 18, Brihaspati 16, Saturn 19, Mercury 17, Ketu 7, and Venus 20. Thus, if a man lives for 120 years, all the planets will in turn have influenced his life in the above order, commencing from the planet of his birth. Again, there will be corresponding sub-runs of all the planets during each planetary run. The races are also governed by such planetary influences. The solar dynasty means that the particular type of humanity so denoted was born under the influence of the solar planet. When all the planets have in turn exercised their influence over this dynasty, it disappears for a time and is reborn under the influence of the sun. Similarly, there will be a revival of the lunar dynasty, that which commenced under the influence of the moon. The law of planetary influence over the human races is not as clearly known as that over individual men. Otherwise, the future history of each race would not be the sealed book to us which it is. The humanity of the present Manvantara was first born under the influence of the solar planet. Our moon is the son of the sun god. The races that first appeared were called solar races. Other races appeared under the influence of the moon. In these races, we find first the influence of Brihaspati or Jupiter through his wife Tara, then of Buddha or Mercury, and lastly of Sukra or Venus through his daughter Devyani. This planetary succession may be only a sub-run of the planets. We read in the account of the previous Manvantaras of the appearance of Sukra as the guide of the Daityas and of Brihaspati as the guide of the Devas. We have also read of the appearance of Rahu in the sixth Manvantara. This shows that the main planetary round has to be found in the Kalpa itself. Our knowledge on the whole subject is, however, so poor that it is unsafe to make any distinct suggestion. Now we shall take the solar races or the sons of Vaivasvat Manu in order of their treatment in the text. Prishadha and Kavi were the first spiritual races. They did not marry, that is, there was no sexual reproduction among them. Next in order was the Karusha race, inhabiting the north. The Dashtas were also a spiritual race, Brahmanas. The descent towards materiality commenced with Nriga. He is said to have been transformed into a lizard. His grandson was Bhuta Jyoti, Bhutas being different forms of matter. Vasu is a god of material wealth. Pratika means the reverse or opposite. Ogha means a current, the current of materialism set in with the line of Nriga. The next line, that of Narishyanta, shews further materiality. Midwat is that which wets. The root me means to pass water. Viti is production, enjoyments. Vitihotra is the name of a sacrificial fire. Agniveshya is an incarnation of Agni or the fire god, but he is nicknamed Kanina or son of an unmarried woman and also Jatukarna, the name of a Vedic rishi. There seems to have been sexual procreation in this line. The incarnation of Agni further indicates that the present human form was complete, for Agni is the form giving energy in nature. In the next line of Dishta, we have Vatsapriti or affection for children. Pranshu or tall, Pramati or full grown intellect, Kanitra or digger, Chakshusha or the eyed, and Kani Netra or the hollow eyed. This line represents the race of the earliest diggers, very tall, with a hollow eye predominant in them as a characteristic feature. And this race was very powerful and capable of direct communion with the Devas, and the gods acted as waiters in the Yajna of Maruta. The line of Saryati refers to Anartha and a town named Kusasthali built in the midst of the sea. Evidently, the continent on which the race flourished is now under water. Anartha is supposed to be Saurashtra, but the site of Kusasthali cannot be ascertained. There were remnants of this race till the time of Krishna, for Balram married Revati, the daughter of Kakudmin. The line of Nabhaga is a short one and it merged itself into that of Angiras, who was the father of Brihaspati or Jupiter. Ambarisha is a prominent figure of this period. Then we come to the line of Ikshvaku. This is the best known line of the solar races. It flourished during the last Treta Yuga. Ikshvaku is called the eldest son of Manu. Perhaps this has reference to the appearance of the race in the previous Manvantras. The eldest son of Ikshvaku is Vikukshi. He is also called Shashada or rabbit eater. The moon is called rabbit marked. Puranjaya is the son of Vikukshi. He is called Indravaha or Indra vehicled. Several of the kings of this dynasty befriended the devas of Swarloka. Further down, we find King Purukutsa forming an alliance with the elemental serpents and holding communion with the dwellers of Rasatala. The river Narvada is mentioned in connection with Rasatala. Mandhata is a traditional name that has been preserved up to this time in common parlance in the saying, as old as King Mandhata. The line of Mandhata was divided into three different branches. Muchukunda represented a branch of yogis. The long, unbroken sleep of Muchukunda is traditional and is credited also with yogic powers. Another branch, that of Ambarisha, Yovanaswa, and Harita, represented a spiritual subrace. But we have to follow the history of Atlanteans through Purukutsa. The connection with Rasatala or the plane of material ascendancy affected the destiny of this line. In Trishanku, the aspiration ran very high. He became a deva but had his head turned downwards, that is, turned towards materiality. With the powers of a deva but with the aspirations of an asura, the ground was prepared for the downfall of this line. For a time, however, the race flourished in all its materiality. The alliance between devas and men became cemented by the performance of Vedic sacrifices. This was the first spiritual advance of the human race through the temptations of Swarga life. The time of Harishchandra is a Vedic era, when the earliest rigs of what we know as Rigveda were composed. Vishwamitra and his disciples were the Vedic rishis of this age. The Vedas tried to curb the riotous course of materiality by prescribing a number of restrictions on the enjoyment of material desires. Elaborate rules were laid down as to how the desires might be best gratified for the prolonged period in Svargloka by the performance of sacrifices or yagna. The whole of the life of the regenerate classes were regulated by rigid laws, and a glowing picture was given of life in Swarga after death. The sacred injunctions were not, however, potent enough to check the karmic tendencies of the race, and the cyclic law, which now required the spiritual evolution of humanity, was continually disregarded by the race. This was poison to the system of humanity, and King Sagar imbibed this poison. Hence, he was called the poisoned. He had two wives. The sons of one wife were 60,000 in number. They offended Kapila, an incarnation of Vishnu, and thus were all consumed. They reached the limit of material degradation where final extinction awaited the race. The number 60,000 is suggestive.